Hi, I'm Dr. Water. I'm a doctor, the kind who keeps working adults healthy, occupational, and preventive medicine. A dark fantasy protagonist keeps swinging the sword with an arm cut half through, organs half exposed, face unchanged. Watching the battles in Berserk, a lot of people think, with a wound like that, why doesn't the pain stop them cold? Here's the thing. About half of this has a solid medical explanation mixed in. Pain vanishing in an extreme state is, in itself, not fiction. So today, not the merits of the series but your body, checked against real stress physiology and the science of pain. The short version up front. The pain disappears is true. But so you're fine is a flat lie. That's the most important point today. I'm not here to judge the series. I'm here to ask, if a human body did the same thing, what would really happen? And back every medical claim with a paper. No inflating numbers, no talking from memory. A grave wound, and yet not stopped by pain. Overselling it? No, this part is real. First, the depiction, in my words. On an extreme battlefield, taking a near-fatal deep wound, a character keeps swinging the sword without buckling under the pain. A familiar sight for a dark fantasy lead. Bottom line, this part is startlingly real. Faced with strong stress or a threat to life, there's a real phenomenon where pain is temporarily suppressed. It's called stress-induced analgesia, SIA, confirmed in animals and in humans. The mechanism, starting from a brainstem region called the periaqueductal gray, PAG, a command, don't relay the pain signal upward, descends to the spinal cord. The descending pain inhibition system kicks in hard. The wound is the same, but the signal that reaches the brain as pain is trimmed at the spinal cord level. So grave wound, yet no pain holds. What the series exaggerates is the degree. The phenomenon itself hits a good line. Takeaway. Pain receding in extremis isn't your strength of will. It's a break built into the brain and spinal cord from the start, the descending inhibition system. Standard equipment in everyone's body. So the body is releasing a narcotic? Pretty much, yes. Here's the fascinating part. SIA involves a pathway using endogenous opioids made inside the body. Things like beta-endorphin, the body's own morphine-like substances. Picture the brain, in an extreme situation, releasing its own painkiller. But that pathway isn't the only one. There's also an opioid-independent pathway, in which one works mainly switches by the intensity and duration of the stress. Short and sharp stress versus long-lasting stress. The body's way of stopping pain changes. Analgesia isn't a fixed device. Its internals swap by situation. And this isn't only animal work. Human studies too have tested the phenomenon of stress-suppressing pain and the endogenous opioid mechanism involved. The same switch is in your body. Takeaway, the brain's own morphine isn't magic. It's several pathways swapping by situation. So how well it works isn't constant, and there's no guarantee it'll kill pain the same way every time. Safest to assume that. It's the adrenaline that kills the pain. Half right, and the lead role is miscast. You don't feel it because the adrenaline's flowing, a line you hear a lot in fight scenes. Half correct, half needs sorting out. Facing a grave wound or a threat to life, the fight or flight response fires. Within seconds, the sympathetic nervous system spins up and catecholamines, adrenaline, epinephrine, and noradrenaline, are released. Heart rate, blood pressure, and blood sugar rise. The airways widen. The whole body optimizes for fight or flee right now. A normal physiological reaction. But note this, the sympathetic surge and the SIA from Q1, the pain-killing system, aren't wholly separate, but they aren't equal either. The body going to battle stations on adrenaline and the pain signal being trimmed at the spinal cord are happening at the same time on different layers. Sum it up as adrenaline is killing the pain, and you miss the real leads, descending inhibition and endogenous opioids. In reality, these two overlap to build the can move, temporarily, even badly wounded state. That's the most honest way to hold it. Takeaway. No pain because adrenaline miscasts the lead. Adrenaline builds the battle stations. The pain is trimmed by descending inhibition and endogenous opioids, separate systems running at once. Hold it that way, and you read the phenomenon correctly. No pain equals fine. No, just here straight-faced. No, this is the most important, most misunderstood point today. There's a historical origin. In a classic clinical report observing soldiers gravely wounded in World War II, Many of the deeply wounded didn't complain of strong pain right after being hit and didn't ask for painkillers. In other words, the intensity of pain doesn't necessarily scale with the size of the injury. Wound grave, yet no pain. This really happens. The conclusion from that is the opposite of bravado. Pain disappearing means nothing at all about the wound being light. If anything, moving on because it doesn't hurt, so I'm fine, is the most dangerous thing. Further, stress can act in both directions, toward suppressing pain and, conversely, toward amplifying it, hyperalgesia. It's not the stronger you are, the less you feel. The same stress produces analgesia in one setting and hypersensitivity in another. Painless equals strong/safe doesn't hold physiologically. And fundamentally, pain is the body's warning signal. This is broken, don't move it. Ignoring pain and pushing on carries a risk of harming the very machinery that protects you. The same shape as how a mistaken read of the pain-injury link, the fear avoidance model, is discussed as leading to chronic pain. So, to the real you, when you may have taken a big injury without strong pain, after a crash, a fall, sport, or heavy work, get checked even if it doesn't hurt. I could still move, so I'm fine, may just be the warning temporarily switched off. Hours after the adrenaline recedes, the real pain and real damage often show up for the first time. Takeaway: painlessness is not proof you're unharmed. Even if pain is mild right after a hard impact, the warning light may just be temporarily off. After a crash, fall, sport, or heavy work, get checked even without pain. This one, no joking, please. I'll confess, years ago I hurt a finger in sport, and because I could still move it on the spot, all that excitement, I wrote it off as nothing, and by next morning it had swollen up beautifully, and I went in. A doctor, no less. What let me move then wasn't toughness. The body had simply switched the pain off for a while. The image of a hero fighting on through grave wounds is, as a phenomenon, true. In an extreme state, your brain can switch pain off temporarily, with its own brakes and its own morphine. The human body is designed far tougher than you'd think. But the nature of that toughness is a switch that turns off pain, not a switch that turns off the wound. Painlessness is no proof of being unharmed. No pain isn't a medal of strength. It's often a loan you draw against. The bill arrives later. So today's one takeaway: exactly when it didn't hurt, so I could move, stop moving, and check the body. Manga is a doorway into the wonder of the human body. And a real body is far more delicate and far more honest than you'd think. See you at the next checkup. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Water. Subscribe for the next body check, and I'll see you at the next appointment.